So I'm here today to talk to you about something that I'm pretty sure that most of you, at least if you've been following the news, have become aware of. And hey, and if you don't know, uh, Minneapolis is the city that I was born in. I grew up in Minnesota, and I've I'm familiar with the people and the social dynamics of the Twin Cities. Um, so obviously, I'm talking about the protests over George Floyd's murder in the street in broad daylight in front of a bunch of people, and uh, I've over the last week. This has been going on since the murder, and I'm gonna call it a murder because that's what it was. Happened on Monday, and the protests started on Tuesday, and they've been going on, and they're still going on, and in fact, they're escalating. Um, my city, my home city, is on fire right now, and my family and my friends are a lot of them are there on the front lines and also doing support for the demonstrations as well as cleanup. Um, it's been an emotional few days, actually, and my so if you don't know, I grew up in a mixed race family. I have 3 black siblings, and I'm the oldest. So growing up, caring for my younger siblings, it because that's the job of an older sibling is to look out for your little brothers and sisters. I saw firsthand the many ways that my younger black siblings were treated differently by our white peers, and I was the the first line of defense to my younger siblings when it came to bullying and racism. So I grew up with no illusions of my white privilege in comparison to the lack thereof of my black siblings. And I don't I don't I don't try to use them to prop up my words by saying, like, I'm sure you've all heard the line, "Oh, I'm not racist. I have black friends," or something. And that shit actually kind of pisses me off because, when you're calling upon your your friends of minority groups to like back you up and stuff, you're literally just using them in the same way that racists do, and I'm sure people are fucking sick of it. I mean, being the token voice has got to be very tiring. So that's why you know, I don't, I try not to use that as like a political prop because that's not fucking fair. So, anyway, I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about what's going on. I've been following it just obsessively because I know those places that are burning and those people that are standing out there, and I'm familiar with those communities where people are most affected, and it's been really hard to watch. Um, You'll see below in the description that I've added a link instead of to my fundraisers. I've added a link to the Minnesota fund. Um, I I just posted it, like, I forget what it's called, but the link there, it's a fund basically that that helps people that can't afford it to get bail. So protesters and disadvantaged folks that are being held in the jail system right now over this can be helped. If you wanted to donate to me today, or whatever, if you donate here through YouTube, I will personally pay whatever you guys donate today to either that bail fund, or I will speak to some of my friends and family in Minneapolis and ask them who they would suggest that I donate to. Um, but like I said, if you want to donate directly to that cause, the link is in the description. And yeah, either way, it's gonna go to people that can use it. Thanks, Nomad Terry. That's going straight to. Okay, so I was talking about my younger siblings, and I'm extremely proud of them. Um, Specifically, my little brother and sister who live in the city, and my younger sister has been attending the peaceful protests in and around the city and keeping me updated. And my little brother is actually out there helping with cleanup, and I couldn't be more proud. He's he's out there with a trash bag and a broom, and he's picking up the litter. This is the kind of stuff that the media isn't showing. They're showing images of people looting and rioting in the streets, and they're reporting on the chaos, which, I mean, obviously it's the loudest thing happening, so of course they're going to be reporting about that. But that's not all that's going on. There's a lot more going on, and there's a lot more people out there than just black folks. There's also a bunch of boogalooers, and if you don't know what those folks are, they're alt-right, cop-hating gun nuts that want civil war, frankly. And they're seizing on this opportunity to start their boogaloo. That's what they call civil war. So there's more parties out there with vested interests. And if you don't know what people are protesting about, let me just break it down for you. On Monday, a black man in Minneapolis was suspected of writing a bad check at a gas station. And I don't know if he did or not. But, oh wow, thanks, Hot Pastelita. Thank you very much. And I'll make a video and explain what happened with the donations today later. So what happened was he was apprehended by a group of police officers, and Derek Chauvin, I think that's how you pronounce his name, or Officer Chauvin, exerted more physical force than was necessary, including kneeling on this man's neck for about 8 or 9 minutes, which there is no reason to ever do that as a law enforcement officer, especially like when somebody is no longer struggling. And he was not resisting arrest. And I think, to me, the most shocking part of the video was just how nonchalant this officer was. He's an ex-officer now, and actually he was arrested, allegedly, yesterday, which didn't satisfy people. But it was quicker than a lot of other cases that are similar to this have been, and that's largely in part to the protests. And if you're new to the channel and you don't know, I live in a tree, so it's really windy today, and that's all that noise you're hearing. And if you're wondering about my hair, I do shave it periodically when it gets too long, so don't think it means anything. And as for my t-shirt here, I'm actually really glad that I found this. This is from a riot that happened in Minneapolis in, I believe, 2008, that was totally washed under, you know, swept under the rug. But it was similar circumstances. People were tired of being oppressed, and I'm not going to pretend like I know exactly what the protests were about because I was a kid then, but Rage Against the Machine happened to be there and they were selling t-shirts. So I got my Battle of Minneapolis t-shirt to represent. So this this unrest among people in the Twin Cities has been going on for a long time. And before you condemn people for looting and rioting, if you see the videos and you feel some kind of way about, oh no, but what about these businesses, and you feel that visceral reaction where you feel like maybe fear or disgust, like that's not how that's not how you make a point by looting and pillaging. And keep in mind that most of that isn't what protesters are doing, and a lot of that violence is incited by plants, people who are planted there by outside forces with an interest in sowing seeds of chaos. And that's not to say that there aren't people who are very upset that are invested in the situation that are looting also. It's a lot more complex than that. But um, if you see people looting and you feel that visceral kind of anger and disgust about it, in the words of Trevor Noah, he does the Daily Show, and I think he's a very eloquent person. But he said, now imagine that same feeling, but to a black body. Black bodies have been looted and pillaged openly in the streets by a system that doesn't value them and justice for them in the same way that it does for white people. So they've been looting black bodies. So imagine that same amount of fear and disgust and anger towards these buildings and these businesses and this stuff, this inanimate stuff. But imagine sitting with that for your entire life as you watch your fellow humans in your communities being hassled by the police and possibly injured or hurt. And I actually encourage you to go watch Trevor Noah's talk on that. And there's a lot of other famous black folks that have spoken out about this too. Killer Mike did a good talk that my friend turned me on to. And I just finished watching the response of George Floyd's younger brother on the news, and that was just heartbreaking. I can't even imagine how I would feel if my little brother was held down and murdered in front of dozens of people in the street, and they won't convict the murderer and the accomplices to the murder. I can't even begin to imagine the amount of rage that and sadness that he must feel. Yeah, there's good conversations going on in here. Thanks for the donation, Rosie. If I know that not everybody can be there in the cities to um, to add to the protests and demonstrations, but there are protests, riots, and demonstrations they're spreading all over the country, all over the U.S. and even in Canada, and I think last I heard even the UK. Like, most major cities are seeing some type of action in response to this. This is not just gonna go away. It's until justice is served, people are gonna keep being angry, and they have been for a long time, and they've tried to speak out so many times and haven't been heard. So Pandora's box has been opened, and the black community isn't the only community of people that are sick of the way that things are and the unfairness in our system. It's going to be an interesting time. Like, keep your eyes open and be aware, and this is really going to bring all the toxic sludge of our society up to the surface. It's bubbling up, and it turns out that a lot of people are a lot more racist than maybe we realized before. And if you want to try and help from your own home here on YouTube, where you're chilling, and you want to just like do something, you can donate. If you don't have money, you know, there's other ways like tapping into different groups. But one thing that I've been doing is posting up in the live streams of current news and protesting it, and I've been going to the live chat, and whenever people say some really racist shit like hate speech and stuff, I'm just reporting hate speech, and I've posted up in a bunch of different live streams for like hours on end, just hitting the hate speech report button over and over again for all these people saying completely disgusting stuff. So if that's something that's kind of your speed, like, it takes almost zero effort, and it can get a lot of those comments removed and take a little bit of wind out of the sails of people that would rather see human beings die in the street than address real social issues. If any of you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them, because from the perspective of somebody that grew up in Minneapolis or around Minneapolis and lived in Minneapolis for a few years, I do have kind of a unique perspective on that and what's going on, and I'm definitely staying in touch. They're even rioting. They're demonstrating in Washington D.C. too. Like, this is big, guys. I mean, and in Minneapolis too. And they called in the National Guard, and they're nowhere to be seen yet. Somewhere out there says rioting, burning, robbery, and violence will unite us. No, like I said earlier, a lot of the people that are inciting rioting and violence are police plants. They are hired people. There's evidence for this and videos. So, you know, check your perspective there. And also, they've tried everything the fuck else, and so, like, what is it not going to do? You know, like, burn down a Target. I mean, what is it gonna do to help? Dunno. But people are beyond giving a shit anymore. People are sick of being pushed around, and they're rising up to stand up for themselves, and I think it's fucking inspiring. Andre Tree, the only right wing is rioting. There is no leftist doing anything destructive in the streets. I don't know about that, but yeah, mostly it is incited by outside forces or people, like I said, that are trying to sow the seeds of chaos. There's an entire group of people that have been trying to start a civil war for the last few years. And this is just their bread and butter. inserted themselves on the scene. They have guns, and it very well could turn into a civil war. All right, we got $64 in donations for this stream. That's awesome. That's all gonna go to a Minneapolis charity or group that can use it to help with cleanup and providing bail for people who have been incarcerated for demonstrating that aren't violent offenders. And that's a good question, Zenith Sanguine. What do you see as the ultimate best case scenario that will actually end all of this systematic oppression? You know, I'm not I'm not a sociologist. I'm literally a person that lives in a fucking bush, okay? I am an anarchist, and I do believe in the power of dissent when done, you know, when done in a way that makes change. And whatever way you need to do that, that'll get their attention. I mean, the point is that they're not going to like it. But the best case scenario, that the only, I don't know, because I'm not one of the minorities that are directly affected by this systemic oppression. But as for the riots, I know that people won't be satisfied and they won't calm down. They're too angry and they're too hurt. They won't calm down until all of those officers are under arrest and brought to justice, which means being charged with murder or accomplice to murder. And a lot of people want the police to be completely abolished, which I don't know how realistic that is unless we completely overtake, start a real revolution and build this country back up from the ground, which a lot of people have been calling for a long time. I have seen firsthand police brutality and violence and stepping way far out of line. And if you're sitting there still in denial that this was wrong, then you are so out of touch with reality. And actually, Jethro Dennis says, "Thank God for Trump." No, you know what I would like to see? I would like to see Donald Trump shut the fuck up in the form of being loaded into a guillotine. That's what I would like to fucking see. And you know what? I hope he's fucking running out of cheeseburgers in his fucking goddamn little safe room because he's a fucking moron, and he shouldn't even be existing right now. If I live to see the day that he gets physically dragged out of that office and his head rolls on the pavement, then I will be a happy individual. And that's the truth. I will not mince words with that. I hate that motherfucking bastard more than I hate anybody else in the whole fucking world. At least anybody alive right now. So, for me, ideally, what I would like to see, Donald Trump beheaded in the street publicly. That's what I would like to see. And I would like to see all of those fucking police officers arrested and charged for murder and accomplice to murder. And an overhaul of our police system and justice system. It's enough. I really hate Donald Trump. I super, super hate him. I try to spend as little time thinking about him as possible so that I don't get pissed the fuck off. Riot in Seattle, looting downtown. Thanks, Anthony. Right? Yeah, it's spreading more, and the national news is kind of trying to downplay it. But if you're following all of the details and everything happening, like, this country has been ignited. The tinder has been put there and the kindling, and this was the spark that ignited all of the rage that you're seeing across the US right now. Did you see? Okay, so when white people with guns were in state capitals protesting having to wear fucking masks over their face, they were met peacefully. There was no huge police presence like you see during protests now when there's black folks that are pissed off about, like, real shit. So compare that, white people having fucking meltdowns about having to wear shit on their face, to black people who are upset about the murder, a senseless murder of a man in broad daylight in the street, and they're met with the entire police force and the National Guard, and Donald Trump, that fucking orange moron, is telling them, calling them thugs and calling for violence against them. That's a huge stark difference from one scene to another, and it's like a perfect illustration of just how there's a difference between the way that our justice system treats individuals based on the color of their skin. It's almost like there's two different justice systems, one for white people and one for black people, and that's just not acceptable. CKOC, Louisville, Kentucky went crazy too. Yeah, it did. I saw. In LA. Thanks, Rosie. Steve G. Yes, I understand that the president is one puppet, that one person that is a puppet for their party. Blah blah blah. As an individual person, I find Donald Trump to be abhorrent, stupid, ugly, lazy. Just all around, like, there is absolutely not one redeeming quality about that man. If you can name one redeeming quality about him, like, I'll fucking wait. Go ahead. Because fucking A. I'm not trying to encourage you guys to actually think about the good things about Donald Trump, because there are none. Don't strain yourself. His wife is a plastic piece of shit. And you know that he purchased her, right? Like, I'm not going to make speculations on that, but, like, that's the only way a man like that can get married. A gross-ass piece of shit. I'm sure that he's never not paid for pussy. If everyone takes an eye for an eye, the whole country will be blind. Yeah, and if you sit back and let them take your eyes, then you're blind and they're not. So that doesn't, that analogy doesn't really work here. An eye for an eye makes the whole country blind. Fuck that. The justice system is already blind. They're going around fucking blinding everybody else with high-powered mace. You can watch the videos too. They'll be driving past people who are just walking in the area and blasting them with fucking mace. And I've seen videos back during these riots. There were videos of police who were actually laughing about the violence that they had dealt to the protesters and taking pleasure in it. So don't fucking tell me to be fucking peace and love, because that's where that gets us. It gets us fucking, they want people to fucking hold hands and sing in the parks, and because that's not threatening to them. But if you actually do something that gets their attention and makes a bunch of noise, then everybody else can't ignore it anymore. And that's been proven, because up until this point, a lot of people have been complacent and able to ignore all of the violence happening right now. There's a wall of names of black people that have been murdered in the last few months. And I can't even remember all those names. It's hard to keep track, but it's worth reading through those names and thinking about each of those individual people who were just who were murdered for the crime of being born the wrong color. And personally, I'm just tired. I'm tired of this shit. Woody Wood, something tells me that you're not a socio-economist and that you are talking out of your ass, so have fun with that. Population control, God's will. Oh, that's hate speech, Roger Griggs. Uh-huh. Yeah, and if you guys see any hate speech like that in my chat, please just report it as hate speech. And like I said earlier, if you got nothing better to do, you can post up in the live streams for the different protests and pick out the people who are like saying shit about, oh, those people should die like the monkeys they are. Like they literally say shit like that, knowing nothing about these people or them, like their personal lives, and just feeling that fucking racial hate, which is deplorable. And if you see that in any of the forums or chats, just flag it as hate speech, because that's what it is. Yeah. Oh, somebody made a really good point the other day. I was looking through different memes and articles and whatnot, and somebody said this country was built involuntarily on the backs of the black people who were taken forcefully from where they were. So they have every fucking right to burn it the fuck down. And, take it as you will, but also keep that in mind. Like, it goes really deep, and it goes a long way. And if you're upset about rioting and protesting a man dying and stuff, and you're upset by buildings being burned down, but you also think the story of the Boston Tea Party, where a bunch of fucking white colonists dumped a bunch of tea and destroyed a bunch of property, if you think that's a cool story, then you're probably just a goddamn racist. Because this shit is what the United States was founded on political dissent, and it's even in the Constitution. If your government, I can't quote it off the top of my head, but if your government is basically fucking you over, it says it in the Constitution, then it is your, not just your right, but your duty as an American to upend it and take out your oppressors and rebuild it, because that's not what America is. America isn't a place where people are going to be oppressed because of the way that they are, simply because of their race or their religion or socioeconomic background. So, if you claim to love America, you support the troops fighting for our rights, but you don't support civilians here, oppressed people in the U.S. fighting for their rights, then you're a fucking hypocrite. Yeah, sorry. I mean, no, I'm not sorry. I'm really pissed off, actually. Never thought you'd hear me quote Andrew Jackson. Okay, well, whatever. Didn't Andrew Jackson also say, freedom, or vigilance is the price of freedom? Isn't that what he said? I don't know if that was Andrew Jackson or Thomas Jefferson. I can't remember. It was some white guy that probably wasn't as great as a lot of people think he was, but yeah. Vigilance is the price of freedom. And I love that quote. It's disputed who said it first, but it's a good one. And I live by that. Yeah, like I said, Tim, I thought it was Jefferson, and then I looked it up, and it's ambiguous who said it first, but maybe whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. Thomas Jefferson owned slaves and had secret kids with his black mistress, and that's yeah. So I don't really care if he said it or not. It doesn't matter who fucking said it. Hey Trinity is the one. I'm feeling angry today, but also like relief because relief and a bit of joy and pride, but a lot of stress. Um, Feeling stress obviously because it's always something that you sit with if you're aware, and black folks have no choice but to be aware of it. But if you're not black and you follow the news and you keep your eyes open about social issues, then you know that it's a constant struggle for people. So, and it's all been bubbled to the surface. All of those stresses usually kind of rest below the surface until shit like this happens, where another black man is murdered in the street, or sometimes it's a black child, or woman, or etc. But that's something that just kind of sits with you at the back of your mind. But when stuff like this happens, it's like, picking a scab of a malignant tumor. It's always going to be there, but you scrape it off, and then all of a sudden it's bleeding and it's raw, and you have to pay attention to it and dress it. But people live with that constantly, and they're just tired of it. There's only so long that you can keep poking and poking and poking at a person until they fucking snap. So that's what's going on. My fucking city is on fire, and a lot of my friends have had to evacuate from their homes because they live in the Twin Cities, and the police are not. Rosie, that's cool. You're proud this is all happening. As a mother, this is a teaching moment for sure. And it's just good to see people standing up for themselves. Because, like I said, that's what this current incarnation of this country was founded on. And I actually read a headline that a big group of Native American warriors from the plains to the west of Minnesota are riding on horseback to come and stand and help in the ways that they see fit. And a big group of Black Panthers are rolling out there too to help secure the neighborhoods where people live so that they won't be affected by the violence and looting. Also, I've been posting on my Twitter more, so if you guys are into Twitter, I never really was until like yesterday, but I've been posting pretty much just updates about this. So if you want to check out my Twitter, it's just I'm at Cornelius Van Gogh, same as on every other platform, just Cornelius Van Gogh, sometimes Cornelius Van Gogh. I guess I should have put my link in the description, but I've been putting real-time updates on this issue on my Twitter when I get on, and I also talk shit at Donald Trump when I can. Andre Tree says, I feel like the police are going to crack down harder tonight. Just a feeling Oakland PD likes to be aggressive once the protest gets too big. Yeah. Um, yeah, it's really bubbling over. And like I said, there's a bunch of these boogs. I'm going to call them boogs. But they're the right-wing people that are trying to sow seeds um, of civil war because that's what they want. They're out there with fully automatic weapons, and they're prepared to return fire if the police begin to fire. And the police have been firing all sorts of stuff, and there was actual gunfire happening, and I believe last I heard one person was confirmed dead, but the details are a little bit ambiguous. He I think he was shot by a pawn shop owner who was trying to defend his property, but didn't do it in. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but a guy shot a guy over pawn shop items, basically. 19-year-old dead. Oh, thanks, Shasta Howell. Fuck yeah, Jeff Meyer, power to the people. And okay, so I can't speak for what it's like to be a black Minnesotan right now, but I can speak for what it's like to be an ally of black people. And right now, white opinions don't really fucking matter so much. Like, if you feel the need to go and take to your social media with your opinion on what's going on, you should probably just check your privilege and maybe bite your fucking tongue and let people speak for themselves and look to those people instead of weighing in, because sometimes your white opinion isn't fucking asked for or desired or wanted or needed. Sometimes things aren't about you. Sometimes things are bigger than you, and you need to shut the fuck up and play a support role and just do what you can to help other people that are being targeted by oppression. And, you know, if in doubt, sit the fuck down and be humble. Yes. Help elevate the voices of others that are oppressed. And I would like to, in the next few days, try and figure out how to do an interview with one of my friends or relatives that are in the cities right now, so that you can get a first-hand account of what they've been seeing there and how they feel watching their city burn and being part of the communities that are greatest affected by not only the riots but also the systemic oppression that has been plaguing our country since its founding. Yeah, and my little brother Sam, like I said, he is, you can actually, in one of my older videos, you can actually see me in a car full of my siblings doing car karaoke with the Ablers. It's super funny. Lighthearted, if you need something that's a little bit lighthearted after this. But my little brother Sam is helping to clean up, and he's been out there picking up trash and stuff, and he's going to be doing an interview with a friend of mine, Eric Maddox, sorry, Eric Maddox, who does a podcast, an international podcast about social issues. I'm featured on there talking about genderqueer issues and living in Slab City, basically, and the library. But Sam's going to be on his show pretty soon too. So they've been linked up, and they're talking and doing an interview. That'll be cool, and I'll be sure to share that when I can. Like I said at the beginning of this talk, I come from a mixed race family, so I have a special sort of appreciation for the struggle of my black siblings. And if I had any way to bring more voices in here besides my white ass voice, believe me, I would. But I literally live in a bush, and internet is kind of hard to come by out here. Even just being able to do these live streams is kind of a big deal for me. So keep that in mind. I'm doing my best, but if you follow my Twitter, you'll be able to see all of the retweets from black folks who have something of substance to say that I can't say. Hell yeah, Zenith Sanguine. Say it with me, everyone. Self-defense is not senseless violence. That's true. And for all the people that are talking about, in the words of my friend who posted a day or two ago, don't pretend that you were supporting local businesses anyway if you're getting upset about Targets being ruined. Thanks, Wasatch Traveler. Appreciate you. Appreciate all you guys that have donated today. And like I said, I'm going to be donating, so far it looks like $106 to a Minneapolis charity that is helping with either cleanup or bail or other like medical supplies and support out there. And I have some very strong links and ties to there, as I was born in Minneapolis and remain in contact with my friends and family there. Thanks, Rosie. Appreciate that. That's all. Yeah, that's going straight to. I'll let you guys know who I end up donating to, and if you want to donate directly to a local fund that helps impoverished people make bail, non-violent offenders, people that are being held for non-violent crimes in Minneapolis. There's a link in the description below, and if you like my content, hit the like, hit the subscribe button, tell your friends. Feel free to share this video if you want to, or if you're watching it after the live, please let me know your feelings and your thoughts about this matter in the comments section and join the conversation. We have been talking about it on my Discord server, which is also linked in the description at the bottom. And if you want to show support in a way that doesn't expend any physical energy, you can go and watch the big news live streams and flag all the people saying hate comments and violent racist stuff. That way it'll at least help to quiet their voices a little bit in this conversation. Even just a little bit helps. Fuck yeah, thanks Lovelight. Appreciate you. Hey, how's it going, Mac? Please tell people to watch for. Oh yeah, thanks Andre Tree. So the Boogs, as I'm calling them now, the Boogalooers, people who are from an alt-right group that wants civil war, they have certain manners of dress and rhetoric, but a lot of them are wearing Hawaiian shirts because it's another kind of whistleblower, dog whistle, because the Boogaloo, they call it the Big Luau or the Big Igloo or whatever, and that group, that collective of people has a lot of different agendas at play, and it seems like they're kind of trying to define their stances on a few key things. But traditionally, they've been associated with white supremacy. I'm sure there's a lot of people that know a little bit more than I do, but that's what I've come to understand so far that I can say without talking out of my ass. Yep, Proud Boys too, and in Portland, there's a lot of big groups of neo-Nazis and white supremacists, and they all have different ways to be identified. So just, stay aware and keep your eyes open and don't react immediately to things that you read. Try and get your information from multiple sources, compare from different angles, because that'll give you a better picture of what's really going on. I watch left wing, right wing, centrist, and anarchist, and um, news from many different political parties and apolitical parties to just keep in touch with the different narratives that are going on, because then you get a fuller picture. Ah, yes, Michael Sullivan's asking, what was the deal with that freaking black with the black umbrella, white guy, gas mask, some ID'd him as a cop. The black umbrella, I mean, yeah, the umbrella was creepy, but a lot of protesters I guess he must have seen some kind of information on how protesters in Hong Kong dress, because he looked like he was emulating the look of a Hong Kong protester, but it really alienated him, and it was obvious that he was not one of the protesters, and when confronted, he ran toward the precinct, which is where the cops live. James Gestovsky says this is all going to get worse. People want to hate each other, it seems to me. People don't want to hate each other. You seem confused. But yes, it is going to get worse. And it's unavoidable at this point. Action hasn't been taken by our systems. Breaking glass and getting blankets for your family is a valid response to systemic oppression. Yeah, for sure. Eric is asking, what anarchist publication media do I read the most? I guess with that kind of stuff, most of it's like grassroots sort of information, so a lot of it just comes from like individuals or smaller groups. I couldn't recommend like any single one off the top of my head that is not... I mean, the reason I follow all these news sources is because they all have personal bias and personal agenda. So, not everything that all of the news sources say are wrong, but their personal twist on it is where you got to be careful, because they do have a vested interest in making you think that they think about something. So, I'm not going to recommend any news sources here, but if you want to join the Discord, I'm happy to talk about that there. This channel fermenting hate, I reckon. Yeah, Jennifer, just because you're triggered, hashtag triggered, doesn't mean that anybody's trying to make any hateful comments. It seems like you're probably just a racist and you're uncomfortable with people standing up for their rights if they don't look like you. Hey, Jeremy B, go fuck yourself. See ya. Can't be saved. Fuck you. Huh. If you don't like what I'm saying, you know, maybe you should go and check out the WikiHow on how to tell if you are a racist. It's actually a very comprehensive guide on how to find out if you are in fact a racist. And if you find what I'm saying offensive or hateful in any way, then you're just a little snowflake and you need to go and sit the fuck down in your Snuggie and turn on your fucking Netflix and go back in your little fucking fantasy land and maybe just go fuck yourself. And your opinion means nothing to me. So, you know, enjoy being a piece of shit. Yeah, all these people who are like talking about, oh, it's so hateful to stand up for black rights. Oh, I'm triggered by hashtag Black Lives Don't Matter. Those are the same people going into fucking threads calling people libtards and snowflakes and shit like that. And then you say fucking somebody's life matters and they just have a complete fucking meltdown. So, you know, they don't deserve safe spaces. Racists can, they can choke on it and fucking deal with it. Sorry about your white fragility and your fucking racial sad tears. Fucking losers. Go suck Donald Trump's dick. Bounce on it. Actually, no, don't do that. Because he might fall apart. I have this, like, image in my head that Donald Trump just kind of, like, he's actually made of wax. And if you actually, like, grabbed him to try and, you know, strangle him or something, he would just, like, disintegrate in your hands because he's such a soft little weak piece of shit. Donald Trump is made out of orange Play-Doh. William Levine, choke on his own Play-Doh dick. That's what. Yes. Racists can choke on a Play-Doh dick. That's right. I have a soft voice. No, I just don't have a very good mic. And well, I mean, it's good for what I have, and also, it's really windy right now. Chopstick says 5 minutes ago, Tops tear gassed a crowd of over 1,000 who were sitting down peacefully. That is not surprising. Yeah, that's a signature move for Minneapolis Police Department. And I was trying to look up information about the riots that this T-shirt came from back in. I might be wrong when I'm saying 2008 because I actually wasn't able to find like any fucking information on it at all. But they were tear gassing peaceful protesters, and there was no like outright looting and rioting. Rusev Fayolali says, "Don't you think being so disrespectful to your elected president drives others to vote him into the White House again?" Rusev Fayolali, you're probably not even a real person, and I don't give a shit what you're saying. If you're gonna vote for Donald Trump because I'm saying that he's an idiot, then fuck you. You're a goddamn terrorist. Yeah, and just because he was falsely elected by a corrupt system doesn't mean shit to me. Gary Nicholas says, "You're an idiot, obviously." I don't know who he's talking to. Probably to himself. Or Donald Trump. If voting worked to bring about a better world, wouldn't we already have world peace? Okay, see, so I have an unpopular opinion. I'm an anarchist, and I don't fucking vote. Because I'm not going to vote for the lesser of two evils, because if you're voting for the lesser of two evils, you're still voting for evil. And until I see a candidate that isn't a complete scumfuck, then I'll just continue to not cast a vote for a system that I didn't fucking ask for, that oppresses me and my siblings and my family and friends. So, no. Fuck that. Lesser of two evils. Fuck you. I'm not saying that you shouldn't go and vote. I don't give a fuck. I just don't. I don't give a shit how you feel about it. I live in a bush. I'm a squatter. I do not pay taxes. Fuck you. Who said free men don't ask permission? Who was that? That was one of the founding fathers. The system was built on slavery to perpetuate slavery and racism. Yeah, like I said earlier, Sport, I would like to see Donald Trump dragged the fuck out of the White House and beaten to a bloody pulp and thrown into a guillotine. That's my personal opinion. He's worse than any, like, you know, the early stages of this country founding were on revolution. So if you're gonna sit back and be anti-revolution and anti the common folks standing up for themselves, then you're not a fucking patriot. You're a fucking fake and probably a goddamn Nazi. So your opinion means nothing. Feed him to gators. That'd be cool. Or tigers. Feed him to tigers. And then blame. I don't know. I actually never watched that stupid tiger show. So I can't make a tiger show joke. You guys know what I'm talking about. Corn, I recommend you get off the Trump topic. They're likely throwing you red herrings. I don't give a shit. Like, that's fine. I didn't say I was going to drag him out. I'm just saying I'd like to see it. And I would definitely say that I would, fucking fight him with myself, but I'm afraid that he would fall apart in little clay crumblies because he's made out of Play-Doh. He's a soft little bitch. Sapphire Tiger, welcome. Yeah, okay, so we're going over an hour here, and I've said pretty much all I need to say on this topic, and I will be trying to get some interviews on my channel and in the future, so keep an eye out for that, and follow me on Twitter if you want to keep track of things that I'm retweeting that are pertinent to this situation. And if you want to join the conversation on Discord, that's cool, or you can drop your comment below. Like I said, I'm donating all of the proceeds from today's live stream to a charity in Minneapolis, and there's also a link below to the bail funds for impoverished, non-violent, incarcerated people in Minneapolis right now. And I just wanted to share how I feel about this, seeing as I'm from Minneapolis, and I couldn't just go forth with my life without saying what I said today. So thanks for joining me, guys. Stay vigilant, keep your eyes open. There's a lot more at play here than just one side versus another side. There's a lot of different groups, collectives, and individuals at play here, and a lot of different agendas. So just keep your mind sharp. Don't buy into propaganda. Get your information from varied news sources. And if you're a keyboard warrior, just go into frequented live chats and report overt racism and hate speech, if nothing else. And I'll touch base with you guys again, and hopefully next live stream will be a little bit more fun, as usual, and I can get back to drinking and swearing at you about non-politics. I love you guys. Stay safe, and if you are able to participate in a local demonstration, just remember, don't take the bait and get violent, and try to maintain composure and help others in your vicinity maintain composure, and do what you can to help. And support black voices. If you're a white person, maybe just shut the fuck up and let non-white people have the stage and speak up. Don't try to dominate the airspace, because people have been pushed down and oppressed for so long. So, alright. Thanks, guys, for joining me. I appreciate you. Thank you to everybody who donated. guys fucking rock. Go forth and conquer